I saw this advertisement the other day for Verizon, and they were offering 36-month payment plans for their smartphones. And being the iPhone payment plan guy, or maybe that's what I am, I don't know, I thought that was really interesting. Like, why would they offer 36 months? So I came up with a couple reasons why I think that they're doing it, and obviously why you shouldn't sign up for a 36-month agreement to pay off a phone. The first reason I think is the most obvious is they can charge less per month. So the initial phone price is a lot less intimidating. And obviously, if you're trying to buy a $1,400 smartphone, if you could buy it for $30 a month as opposed to $50 a month, that's going to sound a lot cheaper to you, a lot more affordable, something you can afford a lot easier. Similar to a mortgage, a 15-year, the mortgage payment is obviously going to be a lot higher than a 30-year, but with a 15-year, you get a lower interest rate. For some people, it's better. For some people, it's not better. But that's like sort of the idea is you can buy more house with a 30-year as opposed to a 15-year. So you can pay a lot more money because the payments spread out over a lot longer period of time. But that is just the obvious ones. I think that there are far more reasons other than just the obvious one. The next one is to get you onto their phone plan for as long as possible. If somebody can't afford to pay a phone off right away and they're stuck into a phone contract for 36 months, of the phone, just paying the monthly payment on the phone, they're not going to be willing to just pay an extra $400 to have it end a year early to switch to a different provider. They're more than likely just going to continue paying on that plan for the entire length of 3 years. And Verizon, let's say they charge $50 per plan for that person over 3 years, $50 per month over the course of 3 years is $1,800. So for them, it's a lot more profitable. They're going to bring in a lot more money if they can keep people on payment plans for significantly longer. I know T-Mobile does this a lot with their free phone upgrade programs, where they will make you stay on the plan for 24 months as they pay it off. They don't pay off the phone for you. What they do is they add a $25 a month bill credit for your phone onto your monthly payments. Another one that I thought could be a possibility, definitely not for me, but I know for some people, is that some people may be somewhat appreciative of the carrier providing the 36-month financing because they can't afford something that expensive at the time. And I would argue that if you couldn't afford something that expensive at the time, don't buy it and then pay it off over 36 months. Just buy something significantly cheaper. I think that they will be appreciative of the company and almost feel like they owe the company somewhat because they were given the opportunity to buy a more expensive phone and then pay it off over a longer period of time. But obviously the way math works out is if you were to buy a $1,000 smartphone today with cash versus a $1,000 smartphone over 2 years, 1 year, 3 years, if you were to keep the phone for like 5, 6, 7 years, it doesn't really matter. It's not the end of the world. I would just argue that if you couldn't afford a $1,000 smartphone today, you couldn't afford just giving them your debit card and saying, take $1,000 off of this, or just going to the bank and pulling $10, $100 bills out, then I would argue you shouldn't buy the $1,000 phone in the first place. Just because the payment plans are only $20 a month doesn't mean you can actually afford the thing. And this brings me to my last point is I think that people are very emotionally driven when they're purchasing phones and when they're purchasing anything, especially a larger purchase. Your phone is a type of device that you will use every single day. You could make an argument that it is as important as a car, as important as even potentially a home, because it is something that you use every single day. I mean, you will use that more than almost any other object in your entire life. You'll use it more than your bed in some cases, unfortunately. But my argument has always been, why are you spending all this money putting yourself into obviously not tons of debt, but into some type of debt to buy a phone that only is more addictive than the last? iPhones have only gotten better and better. Android phones have only gotten better and better. These phones have become so good and they become so addicting that my country, United States, is going to ban TikTok. And I'm very pro ban TikTok. The politics aside, I think it's just bad for the country. I think I've been talking about this for well over a year. 2 years. I don't want people using social media. I deleted all my social media 2 years ago. And I don't want people using social media. I think it is a virus. I think that it sucks younger teens and my age and below into the devices. They will use their phones for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours in a day. And instead of talking to their wives or their children or their friends or their family, they will just spend time scrolling on TikTok for hours and hours and hours. So personally, I would be completely fine if all social media were banned. I know that's not going to happen, but I think TikTok getting banned is actually a good first step. And I think that a lot of people shouldn't be relying on the government to fix these types of problems. They should take it into their own hands, look at their own problems, look at their own screen time usage, and determine whether or not that it's a good thing for them to be using their phones for 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day, 10 hours a day. I would tell you that it's not. I know that a lot of people have excuses as to why their screen time is what it is, and that's fine. Like, you can make whatever excuse you want. I just want to point out the fact that 8 hours a day is as much as you sleep. So if you're going to use your phone as much as you sleep, and then you work the other 8 hours a day, like, that doesn't leave a lot of time to do anything else. I understand some people use their phone during work, so on and so forth. So I totally understand all that, but I would argue that it's a bad thing to be using your phone that many hours in a day. I know that even when I'm playing video games for 3-4 hours in a row, late on a weekend night, my eyes will even start to hurt a little bit because it's just so much information that humans aren't really meant to process that kind of information, especially with social media. They're not really meant to process that kind of data. That much information coming in on a daily basis. You think about your timelines on Twitter and on TikTok and everything. It's, you will wake up, as the first thing you do is check your phone. I've made it a point to not do that. I will wait 30 minutes to an hour sometimes before I check my phone. And I think that that has really helped me. And I think that for you, you should try something similar. Don't check your phone right away. You think about the first things you see, it'll be very, very dark stuff. I mean, you'll see headlines that'll just make your skin crawl, and it's something humans should never see in the first place, yet they do, and then they see it very first thing in the morning. You're not even ready. Like, you could throw a football at me in the first thing in the morning, I wouldn't catch it. So I think that delete these things off your phone, delete the apps off your phone. Don't sign up for these payment plans. They are only making your life worse. They are allowing you to indulge in financial promiscuity and making bad decisions, and I would really argue against doing all of that. Thank you for watching the video. Don't sign up for 36-month payment plans. Try to buy every phone with cash. If you can't afford it with cash, buy something cheaper. Potentially buy used. I'm not the biggest fan of buying used smartphones, so I would argue just buy a slightly cheaper phone. Or if you're comfortable buying used, buy a used last year or 2-year-old device. Save a bunch of money, buy it with cash, and then in a few years, when you have more money and you've invested more, then you can buy the more expensive phone. Thank you for watching the video. This is Scott with Techno Eclipse, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.